Well, let's get talking now. Nigeria is no doubt blessed with large tracts of arable land, which makes agriculture an important sector of the economy with high potential for employment generation, food security, and poverty reduction. Although the sector's huge potential has not been fully utilized due to myriads of challenges making the country a net importer of food, it would interest you to know that the agricultural sector contributes 25% of Nigeria's gross domestic product and accounts for 48% of the labor force, with a growth rate of an average 4% over the last 5 years. Now, these improvements have been driven by government policies which are aimed at encouraging more commercial and mechanized farming, aimed at leveraging Nigeria's agricultural ecosystem to transform the country into a leading agribusiness and agro-allied industrial nation. Against this backdrop, President Muhammadu Buhari has urged Nigerians to embrace agriculture in order for the country to become a self-sustaining nation, as this will have a long-term impact on the Nigerian economy. Well, to understand this and, of course, other issues around the agricultural value chain, I have joining me live in our Lagos studio. She's the founder and chief executive of Easy Shop, Easy Cook Services, Mrs. Saudat Salami. Did I get that right? Yes. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, and it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, I'll start this way. President Buhari was straight about it. We need to go back to the farm. We have the land. We should take advantage of it. But how easy do you see this? Do you think this is? I'll ask it. It's a two-way question. When we see some of these pictures of people farming, we see the kind of faces we see are not really attractive. When we see people like you getting into agriculture, or me getting into agriculture, maybe people will get more interested. How attractive is that sector? And would you say, is that easy for us to just go into it, as the president said?
It is easy to go into it if we use technology. The thing is, everybody, when they hear about farming and agriculture, they think about hoe and cutlass.
Yeah.
They think about what our forefathers did. But that is not what we're going to do now. And I doubt that is what the president meant about that. The thing is, if we want to do agriculture, if we want to scale, if we want to export with the African continental free trade that we signed now, we have to use technology. We have to use all the ministries involved to get everybody in so that we can make agri profitable for us and successful. Because right now, the way we practice agri, right, a lot of farmers are not making money from agri because it is very, very expensive. The equipment that other countries use, we cannot afford it because the loans we have here are short-term. We need long-term loans, we need training, we need so many things for the sector to thrive. So that is what we all need to come to the table. There's nothing we can do, we have to go to agri. Because first of all, we're in a pandemic all over the world, the borders are shut. So every country has to find a way to feed itself. So we have no choice. And agri is the basis of everything. It's the raw materials that even manufacturing companies that are here, without the raw materials from that sector, they cannot produce anything. The hospitality sector depends on them. The textile also depends on them. There's so many industries depend on the agri sector. So until we are able to develop that, there's nothing we can do. So we should stop thinking of hoe and cutlass. We should be thinking of technology. And you know, this thing is not rocket science. There are things that have already been done. So we all should just get on the table and say, how can we be successful in this?
For someone like me, we see a lot of interventions focused on agri, particularly from the CBN. I'm not being particular about where the interventions are coming from, but are they really trickling down?
You know, the thing is, are they long-term? And are you funding the whole value chain? You can't just fund maybe cassava farmers. When they finish farming, what happens? There's the value chain in cassava. So sometimes you go to the farms and you see sometimes there are a lot of things in the farm and they're getting rotten, and you wonder, why are they not moving the produce into the market? First of all, a lot of the roads are not good. So you order things to come in and they get rotten along the way. We do not have pack houses where we immediately convert these things. We sort them, we grind them, we color code them, we grade them before they come out. We put edible, some put edible wax just to maintain the shelf life. Then the kind of seeds. Then our farming methods as well. Agri is expensive, and we need long-term loans for that. We need continuous training. We need the schools to start training. our youths on how to farm. We need the engineering department to start training on how to use the tools. We need the technology. We need the tech sector, seriously, for every single thing. Because, first of all, look at climate. Climate is changing. The kind of seeds we're planting before, we can't plant them now. The seasons are shorter. Look at rain. Rain has started now. We don't even know if we're going to have the normal rain. So the way we are planting has to change. And we're not the only ones. So we need to be able to copy this technology and adopt. But it cannot be the agric sector alone. And we cannot look at agric in isolation. When the president mentioned agric, he's talking to like 4 or 5 ministries to come together, because we are all feeding from agric. The raw material for every single thing we do comes from there. And we have to scale it. So when CBN has an intervention, it's only maybe for cassava or about 4 or 5 produce. But the thing is that the only thing we eat? And when you produce cassava, what happens? Are we going to use only gari? Do you know how many derivatives you get from cassava? Then you don't fund, you only fund the production of cassava. What happens to converting them to other things? Look at the health sector. They depend on this because they manufacture tablets and all that. They use some of this starch. Which company are converting all this starch into a form that the health sector will use to manufacture our medicine? You can see all those things that break down. Who is going to fund those companies to put those machines in place? That's why you have foreigners. They're the ones that have access to long-term loans that will do that. We need to start thinking like that. You don't just fund one and leave the rest. You have to look at the whole value chain, and you have to have a long-term plan. You have to train in schools. You have to support small businesses, because look at almost all these policies. They only benefit very few, about 10 or so big businesses. That cannot, we are 200 million people. That cannot raise us. You'll be doing 10,000 here, 5,000 here. It helps, but it's short term. It's really, really short term. We actually need to have a long-term plan. And I think it's possible if all of us look at it and stop using words as if, agric, he's talking about hoe and cutlass.
Before we go into, I'm also very concerned about value addition. At least the very simple example is always the cocoa example. We take cocoa out of our country and we come in with chocolates, and we are not. Before we go there, let's talk about wastage and storage. How have you been able to manage with that?
Storage, first of all, needs electricity. We need electricity if we're going to sort storage, especially we have silos for the grains, but for the vegetables and the fruits, you need electricity. But first of all, we need to look at our agric practice, because if you store waste, you're going to have waste. The way we farm, the kind of seeds that we produce, the way we harvest, right, is also very important, so that we are going to what we are storing. So if you are planting something that doesn't grow properly, or the shelf life of what you have planted is very short, if you put it in the freezer, it's just going to rot there. So the thing is that we have to enforce good agric practice. It is not enforced in Nigeria. If you look at, I always say that if you go to a supermarket, if you go to big supermarkets in Nigeria, you will not find the fruit and vegetable section. You will not find it very big, like if you travel abroad and you see about 6 or 7 aisles of fruit and vegetables. Why? Because the shelf life is short. We do not have agric practice that actually helps us to plant good seeds and also have long shelf life, because everything just gets rotten. You go to the market, you see all the fruits and the vegetables, they are not the same size, unlike imported produce. If you go and you see imported produce, it's very easy for you to immediately identify that it is imported, even the one coming from Cotonou and Co. Because the colors, they've been color sorted, they've been size sorted, they've been graded, they have a longer shelf life. We need to start doing that here. We need to build pack houses in different parts of the country close to the farm. So immediately, then we need to enforce good agric practice. Then irrigation is still a problem in Nigeria. We cannot be waiting for rain. Climate has changed. Climate has changed. We have to make arrangements for it. We have to train continuously for it. Starting from look at secondary schools. A lot of schools, we used to farm. Some schools still do farm, but it has to be mandated, because it is from there that you would now, everybody gets used to it, and you don't stigmatize farmers. That orientation needs to be across board. Then tech. I keep saying it. Our youths are so interested in tech. So let them see how they can help and get into the system in different parts of agriculture. Look, the hospitality section now, they will buy fresh produce. They will buy all this. They're international franchises. A lot of us, I supply, my company, EV Shop, supplies hotels. It takes us a lot of time to be able to gather the tons of food they want and deliver to them. And once we deliver to them, we're waiting like waste. After sorting in our office, we have to wait for them to sort again there.
Yes.
There's waste. That is loss for me, loss for them, loss of manpower. There's no reason for that. All the imported produce in Nigeria that I supply to them, there's no problem when we're supplying them. But the one we buy here, there's always a problem. And it's straight from the farm. So whether you're buying from the farm or you're buying from an aggregating center, it's still the same thing because it comes from the farm. We have to really do something about our farming methods, enforce good agri practice, and get long-term loans so that they can buy machines. I'm very happy. Yesterday, I read something that they have started this agricultural equipment hiring enterprise. They want to do it across the country so that businesses would have some material, some equipment, and people can go there to lease the equipment. That's a fantastic development. I'm looking at how that is going to work, right. And I expect the tech sector to latch on that immediately. We need to create applications. There's something like Hello Tractor or something that you can go there and you get, you can lease tractors. But with this that the government, that I see that they are doing, is something that other applications where tech youth are involved can also look at how to link all those machines in place so people can go there and lease machines. That's tech as well, you know, and so many ways. If then, how are we going to maintain those machines? So we have bought machines around the country. Are we training our youth on how to maintain? Because we have problem with maintaining those big tractors. We have a lot of problem. We need to sign agreements with the original equipment manufacturers. They should train our youths, our engineers. Yeah. Then they should make sure they set them up in parts. We cannot all be going to your own office because all of us have to go there to buy parts from you. Why can't we set up other places that they can buy parts so that it's cheaper? You know, it's still your own part, and you are mandated to train people. Those are the kind of things we need to do to move fast, because it's an emergency. We don't know how long the borders will be closed for. But even if the borders are open, we need to trade, and there has to be balance of trade. Yeah. So what are the things we can do here? And let's break down the whole value chain so that I don't want a situation where a lot of youths are going into agric and we're farming, because that's not what we want. That's not what it should be. Once you put machines in place, yeah, you reduce the labor force. But you get them into the value chain. There are different parts of that value chain that they can play in. Yeah, like my company, we supply fresh produce and we deliver. If we are at the end of that value chain, when you buy produce and we deliver, we're talking of a delivery. So many delivery companies are opening now, third-party delivery companies, to deliver fresh produce. There's some farmers that from their farm, you deliver as well. You are delivering from the farm. So we need third-party logistics to also be able to get to farms and the roads. So these are the things that will help that place develop. And these are the things we should be looking at instead of thinking of, farm. We even have to stop stigmatizing farmers or even thinking that agric is a bad word.
Told you now, many are even arguing that agriculture must be made to look sexy so that we can actually jump into it, because that's the way I think it should be.
I think it's the face. We need to get new faces. Yeah. We need to start, get new words, and let it be hip for our youth to know that we actually need new ideas from them. We need them to to get into the sector, and we need to show them how the sector feeds into other. It doesn't stand alone. It's actually the basis of so many industries. Yes. And they need to know the linkage, and they will know that from secondary school, from primary schools and all that. We have to find a way to teach it so that it is not local. Our agric textbooks still make agric look like hoe and cutlass, and you will see the man there and you see the woman carrying something. Yeah. We have to change that look. We really, really have to change their look so that when they hear agric, they're excited about food, about feeding, about technology, about textile. How many of them know that all the clothes we wear, the cotton comes from that place. Even the medicine we put in the mouth, it's from that. Healthcare, you cannot do healthcare if you don't do agric, because good fresh produce is health. Yeah. Everything is linked to it. We need to continue to say things like that so that they will know that agric is life. Agric is what all of us should be in, whether directly or indirectly. And I think that is the conversation we have to have, and the policies we actually need to get in place. So it's linked. Long-term policies. Our banks also need to understand that sector and to give the kind of loans so that farmers need to be profitable. And they don't give them loans that will just tie them down. you know, you give the big companies can access those kind of loans, but the small companies cannot. We should be able to do something that would help the bottom of the pyramid, or at least the middle part, so that we can, you know, enlarge our middle class.
Now, like finally, now I'm looking at 2022. There's been a lot of projections, a lot of talks, and you've also made some suggestions even while making your points, responding to most of my questions. What's your outlook for the agric space? Do you see that sincerity of purpose? Do you see government really keen in? Because I see that it's the way to go. So, but do you see them really, you know, keen into all of this and making us achieve our aims at the end of the day? Because 2022 is there, food security. I fear for our country.
No, I don't want to hold government. I want to hold citizens, us.
Good.
And the different associations that we're in.
Good.
We are the ones that should think about what we want, and we make presentations. We need to do that. You know, a lot of people go like, I'm running my business, I don't have any business with government. Yes. One policy will destroy your business. One government policy can actually make you. So we have to know how to get ourselves together and look at how we can make representations and push for the right policies for all of us, not to be selfish. We have to have a win-win. Nigeria is huge. International companies are looking at how they're going to get into this place. Yeah. So how can we that we're already here not benefit? So we can't afford to be selfish. We have to be thinking win-win, not, oh, let me just take this policy that only benefits me. What of us? When China wanted to build, China is the only country, well, one of the countries that has eliminated extreme poverty, and that is through education and all that. China can feed itself. Netherlands can feed itself. How did they do it? It is win-win. We don't all have to have a car, but if we have a good system that is a good transport, an affordable transport system, everybody will flow. So it's not about you. We have to think us. So it's not about government. If we make presentation to government and we lobby for us, not go and lobby for one policy for your own business. Let's lobby for us. I think we can make a headway. Because I'm tired of saying government should. No. That means we're handicapped.
Yeah.
Because I know we have a lot of power and they hear us. We just all need to now say, it is left for me. I'm ready to add my voice to this. I'm ready to be part of this conversation. I'm ready to pull a chair and come to the table. Let's all stop saying, I don't care what they do, let me just face my business. Because one policy, your business is destroyed.
Really interesting talking to you. I will keep a tab at least. You know, anytime we have issues around the agri sector, you know, you're giving us your insights into understanding all of this. I must appreciate you for coming in. Founder and Chief Executive of Easy Shop, Easy Cook Services, Mrs. Saudat Salami. Thank you so much and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.